Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening, everyone,
Good
and
evening.
welcome. And good evening, and welcome to the 17th annual Sutphin Boulevard bid membership meeting. The date is Monday, December 20th, 2021, and it is approximately 5:09 p.m. Before we proceed, I just want to take a roll call of the members of the quorum that are present. So please, if you can state your name and the business that you're associated with, it would be greatly helpful, because this way we will know who the people were who were present, who formed the quorum. Aside from myself, obviously, Alex Durso Jr., we also have the following people. So if you can just state your name and the office that you're affiliated with, it would be greatly helpful.
Carol Raden Enterprises.
Okay, that's one. Who's next? I can't
Yvonne
hear you.
Reddick,
Okay, Yvonne.
Reddick, District Manager, Board 12.
Okay, who's next?
Sutphin Blvd from Assembly Member Alicia Hyman's office.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you repeat that? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Sutphin Blvd from Office of
Okay.
Assemblywoman Alicia Hyman.
Okay, yes, who else is next?
John Perricone from the Queensborough President's Office.
Okay. Okay, who's next?
Henry Yam from Councilmember Gennaro's office.
Okay, who's next?
James Mangeluso from the Office of New York City Controller Scott Stringer.
Is there anyone else?
Yes, we've got Zach and Sammy.
Yeah, Sami Atalla.
Okay. Sammy Atala. And who's the last person?
Next here, but SPS isn't a member of the bid, so we don't count towards quorum.
Oh, okay. All right, not a problem. And once again, as I stated earlier, good evening, everyone. We have a number of issues that we would like to discuss tonight. Before we begin, I just want to take the opportunity to thank everyone for being present tonight. I know it's very difficult. We're still in the middle of the pandemic, and to be able to take the time tonight to participate in this board meeting says a lot about your commitment to the community. And it also says a lot about the commitment of wanting to work and to make things a lot better for the community. And I appreciate your presence tonight. Okay, before we then proceed, the first order of business would be to adopt the minutes from the last annual members meeting that we had. So if there's a motion if someone can make a motion on the floor so that we can get started, it would be greatly appreciated. Is there a motion on the floor to adopt the minutes?
Yes, a motion. I make the motion to adopt the minutes.
Okay, is there a motion on the floor to second that?
I second it.
Okay, is there anyone opposed to the motion? Is there anyone who's abstaining from voting? Let the record reflect that no one has opposed the motion, so the minutes from the last annual meeting have now been adopted. Okay. The first order of business, it's my understanding that we have a speaker tonight. Is that correct?
Yes, we do.
Mr. Cabal? Okay.
Hey, how are you guys?
Sure. Yeah, we're fine. So the floor is yours, Mr. Cabal. Welcome.
All right, thank you. Give me 1 second. Let me just. Give me 1 second. Zoom's doing something.
Okay.
Oh no.
Do you want us to come back to you?
Yeah, can you please?
Sure. Okay. So the next order of business was going to be the annual report from the executive director. So Glenn, as the executive director, If you can give us your actual annual report, it would be greatly appreciated. And afterwards, we would then go back to Mr. Kubal. Am I pronouncing it correctly, sir? Hello? You guys
You're
can,
muted, you're muted, Kevin.
It's Kubiel.
oh, Kubial. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's
Okay, all right. So are you, is everything okay now? If everything's okay, you could go now in front of Glenn, or what is it that you want us to do?
No, that's fine. Let me try it again. It was Zoom updated and did something.
Okay, so you want to go first? Okay, hold on. Okay,
Can you guys see my screen?
yes,
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Kevin Kubial. I'll be giving a presentation today on how to start and run a successful business. I'm a friend of Glenn, and I've known him a number of years, so he asked me to give this presentation, and I think it'll be really helpful for the small business owners on here, as well as anyone who's trying to open a small business.
Good night.
Okay, I'll start. A little bit about myself. My name is Kevin Kubial. I've been in the restaurant industry for 18 years now. My family and I have, we had one for 17, and now we have 2 locations. We're also into property management. As far as my education goes, I have my bachelor's in business from Farmingdale State University, and I have my master's in business from Syracuse University, as well as some professional development certificates from NYU in the restaurant industry. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to start with is for anyone who's wanting to start a business for themselves, is to have competency in the field that they want to start a business in. I've had plenty of conversations with people where they think I'm just going to go and open a business because it's going to make money, and that's kind of what I want to do. But some things I'll touch on is to know and have an understanding of the field that you're getting into. Some of these things are you would want to work in the industry for maybe like a year or more, and that's going to help. But you'll kind of know the pace of the business, and you'll know the seasonalities and what to expect and some of the trends of people's, and as far as just like the personality of like what you'll be dealing with. Another thing too is like educate yourself in the field. SBS gives classes on this. I get their emails all the time about it, as well as you could do professional development classes in the field, and you'll, as well as like educating yourself in the field, you'll get a network of people that you can lean on to. That's when I did my classes at NYU for the restaurant, it provided me with a pretty good network of people, as well as taught me things about the business I was already in that I really didn't know, or it opened up a new like wave of thinking as far as like directions and things like that to go. And also if you're new and you're trying to get into business, or that's your dream of yours, be prepared to spend a significant amount of your time there in the beginning. I know personally, like if you're going from like a regular job to having your own business, the times are not going to be the same. You'll be there earlier and you'll be there later as well. So you'll have to expect that you won't have the same schedule as anybody else. You'll have to miss some time with your friends or family members, or certain things that you'll probably be working, and that's probably a sacrifice you'll have to make, especially in the beginning. Okay, so I'll touch on how to start a company. So the first thing is to create a business plan, and this is a pretty important part of the process, because you'll have a baseline to refer to for when you want to present it to other people, or when you're creating your ideas or what you're trying to get into. The business plan will help you kind of roadmap it, and you'll see where they'll come up short by just capturing it on a document. Also, other people are going to want to see your business plan too, as far as like banks and the landlords of the spaces that you'll be getting, but we could touch on that in a minute. I think someone got a mute. Okay. So the next thing you need to know is to learn the differences between an S Corp, a C Corp, LLC, partnership, or sole proprietorship, and determine with the help of a professional which will work better for your company. If you're forming these things, I know that the city has, or SBS, for example, has services that'll help you with these. But you could also have a professional, and when you speak about them and you have your business plan and you guys go over it, you'll see which one will more suit you for your circumstances. I think maybe 90% of the time, though, it'll be one of the corporations that you'll be forming. Usually you don't do a partnership or a sole proprietorship because you'll put more of your personal things at risk as opposed to a corporation. The next thing you'll have to do is to secure your finances, whether personal money, grants, loans, or borrowing from friends and family. This is another place where your business plan will come in, because if you're going for grants and loans and overall just borrowing money, they're going to want to know what you're doing with it and what if it's a solid investment for them, because especially with the loans and the borrowing from friends and family and even your own personal money, they're going to want to see it. You're going to want to get a return on your investment. So that's where the business plan comes in. This is very important to be knowledgeable in the different licenses and certificates that are required for your company. Every industry is different. I know for me in the restaurant industry, in order to get a license, there are certain requirements that the city wants, as far as you're going to have workers' comp insurance and disability insurance, and just show overall good standing to be in my business, because it's not only the city, but the state liquor authority would kind of want to see things as well. And it's not the easiest process in the world. It's something that you would probably have to work with a professional to even get the license. There's ways you could do it yourself, but you probably want to hire like a lawyer to do it for you if you're in the restaurant business. But as far as license certificate, if it's retail or something in that nature, it's a process to do it. The next step is seeking a location for leasing or purchasing property for your business. So this is a very important step. And this is one that I would personally suggest that you work with a lawyer to do, or somebody professional, because there is a lot of things that go into leasing a property. Just from experience, you want somebody who's qualified to look at the terms of the lease, because for example, I just had like negotiations with another property to open another restaurant, and the lease seemed like it was fine at first, but it really wasn't. It sounds like a little bit when they say the increases are 3 to 5%, but if it's 5%, if it's something of that nature, it gets up there pretty quickly, especially if it's like a 5-year with a 5-year option. You have to look at like what that 5-year option is going to be and what are the terms of that, as well as what are you responsible for in the property. So like I'll give you an example from this previous lease. The landlord wanted me to be responsible for the roof of the building, which in restaurant terms is probably it's probably not uncommon in the industry. But the problem that I had with it is I had no equipment on the roof, so I don't see why I would be responsible for it. And my lawyer pointed it out to me too, that that's not a fair lease for you. And another thing that came up that you would have to look at is as far as like negotiating a lease, if you're going for a restaurant, you have to see what is required of your property to own that business there, or to open that business there. And if you'll get a business license for it, certain buildings can't get a restaurant or something like that because they'll require handicap bathrooms or a certain occupancy or a certain size of gas line and things of that nature. So these are all things that you have to look at. You don't want to sign the lease without the help of a professional to know if you could actually own, if you could actually do the business there, or how long is it going to take you to open, or what kind of significant construction is going to be in there. I've heard stories of a person tried to open the restaurant with the purpose of having liquor there, but when they drew up the plans and they took over the space, there was no space for a handicap bathroom. So that right there, you can't get a liquor license if you don't have a handicap bathroom. So those are things that, like the Americans with Disabilities Act, it's things that you should really seek help with from a professional who knows the business. It's not really something that you should go and sign yourself if you don't know, if it's your first time in it. or even if it's not your first time, and it's very good to like do that because the risk reward behind that is very high. And then lastly, you're going to apply for your business license. So yeah, the city does a good job of saying like what's required and things like that. But this is where the help of like your team will come in, like your professionals that you would have working for you, not your employees, but like you need a group of people that you can trust, whether that's SBS can point you in the right direction and give you a baseline of what you have to look for. There's a lot of even the bid will help you out a lot too. Even I can come here and talk to Glenn about anything, and that helps. But yeah, the business license part of it is pretty important. Like all of them, they kind of, it's not really one or the other, but all of these things kind of tie into each other. Okay, so the next thing is okay. So that's what it's about to start a company operationally, and this is how. Like I've been a small business owner for a long time with my parents, so over the years I've evolved to see it from all ends of the spectrum. So I know what it's like to come through like starting. So the first thing that I would say to have a business that is less stressful. It's actually very less stressful when you actually operate like this, and you actually grow more. Is when you have a good understanding of your numbers. Like you should always know how much your cost of goods sold are, how much you're buying them for, as well as what your margins have to be on them. And that's where the next bullet comes in: the fixed costs where the variable costs are. Your fixed costs are costs that don't change. So that would be like your rent would probably stay the same. If you're leasing equipment or you're financing equipment, that will always kind of be the same. And then your variable costs are the costs that change season to season. Like you might run different gas bills or electric bills depending if it's winter or summer or spring or fall. So you have to know that. And it's really important that you do know that too, because it'll help you build into your pricing of your product. And yeah, it'll help you build into the cost of your product and what you have to be. And it'll help you in negotiating, like as far as where you go and how you shop around and things like that. A tool that I find, well, I think is very helpful is utilize a QuickBooks to capture your data, or something similar that you would know how to understand to capture your data. So you could use your QuickBooks to capture your numbers and like your year over sales. You can do your invoices, just know how much money is going in and know how much money is coming out as well, because it's a very delicate balance, because sometimes it seems like there's a lot, but then when you do your numbers and you have to subtract all your costs, it'll tell a very different story. So that's why it's good to be on top of these things, and doing it by your head is probably like most small business owners. It's like, they'll have like receipts, and at the end of the year they'll have like a talk with their accountant. But usually the more on top of these things you are, the better prepared you'll be when it comes tax time, when it's time to pay your sales tax, when it's time to do these types of things. As well as another way it'll come in is if you ever need financing, especially with this pandemic, you're going to need to know these numbers, because a lot of the PPP loans and things like that, people are scrambling for their paperwork. So you don't know in these times if you're going to need to be like applying for anything. So it's good to have these numbers at hand's length. You don't really want to be looking for them when these things are coming up. Another thing that I found is having a good point of sale system in your company. Depending if you're a restaurant, a point of sale system, or retail, a point of sale system. If you're like more in the service industry, customer relationship manager, like a Salesforce, or there's a couple new ones out too that like Constant Contact that will like just tell you, like give you a snapshot of where you are with your customer. The point of sale system in the restaurant is pretty good, because it tells you what's selling, what's not selling. You can compare last year with this year and see like where you need to improve on, or if you're not doing the same numbers, or if you're doing better numbers. Same thing with the customer relationship manager. Like I know Salesforce will keep you in the loop with most of your customers on like what are their habits, and do you need to give them a call to remind them like do you need this product, or are you missing something? Is there something I could help you out with? So those are things that I've seen that have helped. A good recording system or record keeping. I can't really stress this one enough, because like I've tried to help a lot of people get like the minority business certification or Port Authority stuff, certifications like the ADBC. So most of the time where they come up short is they don't have records of their documents. So when you're starting a business, all those documents, instead of just pushing them someplace, it's good to have a record of where they need to be kept, because it'll make these processes of like applying for like those certificates much easier. Like they'll want your shares and your recording receipt and things like that. So it's good to have a record and have a safe space where you keep all of these things. My next one, hire employees. That's a very important one. You can't really do it all by yourself. You're going to need good people to help you do it. I know, especially coming from a small business owner, like we started off doing every job in there from when we started off to where we don't necessarily have a job now. And that's where I think most people would want to be. Like, you don't want to be there 24/7, 365. You're going to need to free up some time to grow your business yourself. So hiring employees and training employees to understand what is required of their position is that's like the true statement of a business. If you're there working all the time, you pretty much have a job, and that's not really why you got into the industry for. One thing that helps is a training manual. You could always refer to it if when hiring new employees, they'll have a better understanding. If somebody forgets what their job is, for example, you could always refer back to the training manual to see what it says in there. And overall, just kind of work smarter. So a lot of these tools will allow you to do that, where you can actually look at where you are and not just wonder. And yeah, then you could just it'll just help you as far as like your workflow goes. And lastly, administrative. This is the one where this has changed for our companies in the last few years. Have a team of professionals that you can trust. I know it's always like convenient to shop around for pricing and things like that, but the ones that I found over the years, like insurance agents, are very important. And it's not really about pricing. Like your insurance agent's job is to like write up your policies that protect your businesses, and as well as your personal property. New York City, for example, has a lot of things that are not covered under like your regular insurance for your business. So you would have to, like, for example, I had an incident where my front window broke on one of the restaurants, and apparently you have to have a rider like a glass coverage rider. It doesn't to just like an extra insurance on your glass in front of your business. So that's where it's important. Also, another thing I learned while I was in school is your insurance agents are responsible for their policies. So they have to tell you what is required, and if they leave it out, they are responsible. So you have to make sure it's probably somebody that you have a professional relationship with, just in case something comes up and they didn't cover it, or they didn't let you know, because that's their job as an insurance agent or just a professional in the field. A good accountant, not somebody who does it part-time, somebody who does it full-time, preferably a CPA to do to give you financial advice and tax codes. You should have a lawyer hanging around. You don't need one on the payroll necessarily, but there's a good lawyer that you could, and if anything comes up, you can talk to. Payroll company. I use a payroll company because it's just one less thing to keep up with. Payroll is very funny. There's always changes in rules, regulations, and liabilities, and they'll keep all your employee documents organized themselves. They'll take care of the W-2s. My payroll company does my disability and workers' comp insurance, and it's better for me because they're already in charge of the payroll, so they can take the audits at the end of the year very well. And that's all I have. Does anyone have any questions on the presentation?
Sure. May I ask you a question?
Yeah.
One of the questions that I have, for example, to start up a business like a small restaurant, how much capital would you say that somebody would need in order to start up a small business? Is it
It
like
depends.
50,000? Is it 100,000? Because obviously at the beginning, you're not going to make a profit just yet.
No. For the restaurant alone, I could give you some numbers. For example, if you're buying over an existing restaurant, that's you're buying over the business. So whatever they will charge you. So that's usually depending on the business. If you're buying a good business, you'll pay more. If you're buying a one that's not doing well, you'll pay less. But if you're starting from scratch, it's a hard one to put a number on because for example, like I know architect fees can be anywhere from like $20,000 to $30,000 a loan just to drop the plans. So you'll probably between architects and then you'll have to get like plumbing, electrical and things like that. A small restaurant alone can literally run you probably like $200,000-$300,000.
And then sometimes you have to go and apply for permits, right?
Always have to play. Yeah, most of the time. Unless you're buying over an existing building that's a business that's there already, which is something that we usually look into. We usually try to go for a place that's already been a restaurant because the cost to just go from scratch is it's not just the cost, but sometimes like it's not really just the city, but just dealing with everything involved is sometimes there's a lot of delays that happen. And if you're in a bad lease, well, not a bad lease, but if you didn't negotiate your lease for that extra terms, it'll cost you much more, you know? If let's say you negotiated for 3 months build out and then your job took 12 months, you still have to pay your 9 months unless you work it out with the landlord. So that can be, if your rent is going to be $5,000-$6,000, it'll be that an extra $50,000 or so on top of whatever your build out's going to be just paying for, and no revenue is coming in.
See, one thing I noticed, like one night I was watching TV and something was in the news and they were talking about vendors at Penn Station. That was before the pandemic. And I think one guy, like I think his monthly lease was over $100,000 or something. And I'm like, how can he make that kind of money from what he's selling? But apparently he was able to.
Yeah.
Okay. And the other question that I have for you is with respect to the differences between the LLCs and so on, it's basically to insulate yourself from personal liability. If something goes wrong, they can only look at the business as opposed to going after your personal fortune.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That's why I said most professionals would always not recommend you go with a partnership or a sole proprietorship. I would never suggest anybody do that. It would always be one of the corporations.
Okay. And the last question I have, I know it's other people might have questions. Aside from the presentation that you've given us tonight, if somebody who's listening were to be interested in starting their own business, is there a publication that you would recommend? You would tell them, hey, so-and-so has a great book out that you might want to read and they'll explain everything to you.
Yeah, I've read a bunch of business books, not one that particularly started it. What am I working on? I mean, the Harvard Business Review is something I've been reading a lot. They have a lot of articles on on business. So like they have one on small family business that I've been reading. It's pretty interesting. I don't remember. I just know the Harvard Business Review has a lot of business books, and that was one of them. Starting a family business.
Okay. Are there any questions from other members who have been listening tonight? Okay. So unless you have anything else to tell us, we're just going to move on to the next topic then.
No,
okay.
Appreciate it.
Sure. I want to thank you for taking the time to appear before us tonight. It's been very helpful. I mean, I know I've learned a few things and everything.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome. And I'm quite sure the other people who are listening have also. And, first and foremost, realize that you need a substantial amount of capital in order to start a business, especially a restaurant business.
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody put something in the chat, which is very interesting. I don't know if you saw it, that they recommend. Yeah, there was a publication that one could read. Moving along, so we won't be here all night. The next order of business is going to be the executive director's annual report. Glenn, are you there?
I am.
Yes.
And Kevin, I would ask that you put your contact information in the in the chat. Okay, need to release the share.
Oh,
Okay, great.
okay. Yes, so consider the chair having been released.
So good evening, everyone. Just want to let you know that this annual report was prepared by Naval, my administrative assistant, and the first picture, of course, is the Harvest Festival that took place in September this past year. We've got various members that are listed here as part of the staff. And by the way, this annual report will be available on our website. So if you have any additional questions or comments, you can take a look there. There's a short letter that I put together just to speak a little bit about the direction and where we are as a bid, and what we're doing, and that you know, inside of the changes of the pandemic, it's going to be asking us as businesses to change how we monetize and how we access our customer base. And the bid is committed to supporting that and supporting the businesses in the district to get them to the next level, utilizing technology. And I just want to let you know that the board of directors and I are committed to getting to that next level. There are some financials. I won't go over the specifics on it. We did get a healthy audit. We had an annual audit, and we passed, and there was nothing outstanding or anything that was glaring that needed to be managed. These are some of the financials in terms of the monies that we received and how we did some of our programming services and support services for that program. So business, neighborhood development, and community outreach. And so those are the things that we spent on, and I'll go into a little bit more detail about them. We've got probably about sanitation and business assistance are some of the big hit items. This is actually public safety is another huge piece that we've been confronting. As a lot of you know, Sutphin and Archer has been a sore spot when it comes for us around the marijuana sales and the folks being out there. So, so this year, excuse me. So this year we formed a public safety committee and have had several occasions to meet with the local precinct captain. I've met several times with the precinct captain, who also participated with SBS sponsored Southeast Queens coalition in terms of working with the specific businesses inside of the Southeast Queens in terms of policing and what their needs are. As you can see, we part of what we do is supplemental sanitation. So we have people cleaning the streets, and we've logged 3,400 hours of cleaning and 23,000 bags of trash that have been collected, and we're here to assist and promote and work with city agencies if any of the businesses have issues. So again, with the Department of Sanitation, if we had a violation or what have you, we would support that violation in terms of making sure that it got rectified and addressing it. There are a lot of times when our businesses get a ticket that is not valid or it's not theirs. And so we, again, coordinate and make sure that those things get resolved in a timely fashion. would follow up. And out of the relationship that I have with those agencies, and of course, my relationship with the district cabinet meetings that take place on a monthly basis that are sponsored by the Community Board 12, Sivan Reddick, and the Community Board Chair are in attendance of those meetings, and we get to voice our concerns with the local agencies, city agencies servicing our district. I wanted to take a few moments to present some of the new businesses that are part of the bid. So imagine that even inside of the pandemic, there are still businesses that are opening up and coming to the district. I'm going to give Joe Swift and Pauline, would you like to just take a couple of minutes just to let people know what you do and where you're located?
Okay.
Go ahead, Joe.
Hi, everybody. I don't know if you could see me. I'm Joseph Swift, co-owner of Our World Media Network. We started this new platform this past summer. We're located downtown Jamaica near the Long Island Railroad, and we do podcasts. We run a radio station as well at the location on 9069 Sutphin. It's a 24-hour radio station where we play talk shows that we do live on the weekends, along with music, and we inform the community of what's happening around the community in terms of news and entertainment. And it's a 24-hour station, like I said, and we have a podcast that's on the network. Our plan is to also help train young people in the community about live streaming and broadcasting, how to set up equipment, and properly run a station. So that's some of the stuff that we do and we're doing in the future.
Okay.
Anything else?
And no, good evening. I'm Lady Pauline. I'm one of the CEOs of Our World Media Network, which my son and I share partnership ownership of the company. As he said, we see about podcasts. We do radio, and our main goal is to give out information to the community on what's going on business-wise, politically, as well as to educate the young people in broadcast. So we would like to start a training program to educate, kids coming out of high school or even junior high that's interested in the media, whether it's doing podcasts or it is broadcasting, writing, editing. So that's what we're doing. Okay.
Thank you. And I might add that you specialize in supporting local businesses and businesses conversations. And I am one of the people that are on our Power show that specifically talks about businesses and business development in the community. And it's not restricted to Queens necessarily, but we do focus on Southeast Queens.
That's true. Very true. Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody saw the Christmas party that was held yesterday on Sutphin Boulevard out by me. And so next year, I would like to be included in that Christmas party for the community, WGJS Radio, to be part of it,
Okay. Thank you. I also wanted to let you know that Chipotle has opened up on the corner of Sutphin and Archer. I invited their marketing people to come on board. However, I'm not sure. Is anyone here from Chipotle? Okay, well, they've opened up and they've been open for about, let's say about 3 weeks. And they're right at the corner of Sutphin and Archer, and they are here to serve and open and to take care of folks for the fast casual dining is what their specialty is. And so, and you can get comfort food as well as vegetarian dishes as well. In addition, I also want to let you know Gourmet Bagel Deli has opened up. It's across the street from the civil courthouse, Supreme Courthouse. And it was formerly a Courthouse Deli. It's under new management. And so it's a new business that's opened up, as well as Deli and Grill, which is right on the 9071 Sutphin Boulevard. Just opened up about a week ago. So it was a deli prior to, it's under new management. It's got a whole new facelift. Both these locations are under new management. Just wanted to also let you know that we did have the summertime jazz. Normally we have it for 2 months. We were only able to utilize the courthouse for the month of August. And normally it's July and August. And we feature once a week an outdoor concert sponsored by the Blvd and sponsored by council members discretionary funding. So we've had that in the past. And so these are some of the things that we offer. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, our Air Train Jazz Festival that goes from October to May was canceled, and we're not sure when that's going to open back up, but we were able to have the jazz because it was outdoor venue in front of the Supreme Courthouse. And we look to do that going forward. This year we had our 4th Harvest Festival. Normally we have about 10,000 people show up for the event. It's a one-day event. We shut down Sutphin Boulevard between Hillside and Jamaica Avenue. We were down, there's about 7,000 this year. We feature a live band from 12 to 6:30 in the evening. WGJS Radio, our World Media Network, is out there interviewing politicians and some of the guests that are performing. And of course, there's lots of food at the event and not-for-profit. So we allow for not-for-profits to be part of the festival, as well as people selling their goods. So we try to promote. We had Joseph P. Adabo. We had New Hope. Joseph P. Adabo Family Health Center was presenting as a not-for-profit. New Hope Mental Health was there presenting as well, and of course Our World was a not-for-profit that's also was at the event. And we look to bring new local talent to that. We prioritize on local talent, and so those are some of the things that we've been doing. We had a Thanksgiving dinner giveaway where we gave away 800 dinners to people who were on the street, and we gave them to-go dinners. So they were packaged up and were able to just give them out, and people were pretty excited and happy to be able to have a hot Thanksgiving meal on Thanksgiving. And we gave out from about 9:30 in the morning till about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So, and again, these are just a few of these are the volunteers that came out that dedicated themselves Thanksgiving morning and early afternoon to be able to give out to the folks in need that needed dinners for that day. We also have, we're currently inside of our homeless shelter outreach. Again, because of the pandemic, normally what we're able to do is we're able to actually go into the homeless shelter and give them a hot meal. Because of the pandemic, we've been only able to drop off items for them. And so we have collected books of about 108 books from one source and another 70 books from another source. We also brought 60 $10 gift certificates from Cookies. And last week at the board meeting, Sutphin Boulevard board meeting, we actually initiated another 1,500 to support the homeless outreach. So we're gonna get them some socks and clothes, pajamas, and we allocated a portion of that $1,500 additional to buy them toys. The shelter that we support is the one Lincoln Motor Inn. Some of you may know of it. It has been a shelter for probably the last 30, almost 40 years. It's right on Van Wyck Service Road, northbound Service Road, between Archer and Jamaica Avenue. And so we've gone there for the last 3 or 4 years to make sure that the family shelter, because it's a family shelter, and so we make sure that the kids get some soft toys and some reading material and warm pajamas, and for the older kids, we try to give them movie tickets and so forth. But this year, I think we're going to just focus on the clothes and the socks, pajamas, and warm clothes for the winter, since winter has finally arrived. Just want to also let you know that these are some of the sponsors that we've had: Artemis, and Alta Vista Towers, and Resort World, BRP, have been very, very huge supporters. Our world has been around. York College and Party Moments are some of our sponsors. Capital One, New York City Small Business Services, and of course Vanguard as well. And want to let you know that part of the outreach that we've done this year is that we've had 2 finance meetings throughout the year. We've had 4 board meetings and this annual meeting. So those are the things that we have done to support to be in compliance. So quickly, if there are any questions, again, this report is going to be put on the website for you to review at your leisure. And certainly if you have any questions, you can get a hold of me. My number is 718-291-2110, or just look up Sutphin Boulevard bid. Thank you.
Okay, I guess you need to surrender the chair back to me then, right,
Yes,
Glenn?
sir.
Please, I accept. I graciously accept. Sure. The next order of business is going to be the issue of the re-election of certain board members and the addition of 2 new board members to the Sutphin Boulevard bid. But before we proceed to do that, I'd like to disclose to your attention that I am in possession of 3 proxy votes. Okay, but so they all have the same language. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read into the record the language that pertains to those proxies. And then after I read into the record the language that pertains to them and the authority that is given to me, I will then proceed to mention the name of the individuals that have given me the proxies to vote tonight for the election of directors and obviously also the re-election of certain directors, okay? The date, they're all dated, they're separate proxies, by the way. They all dated December 16th, 2021. The caption is Sutphin Boulevard District Management Association Incorporated. Okay, proxy for 2021 annual meeting. The undersigned member of the Sutphin, I'm sorry, is that whoever it is in the background, can you please mute your microphone, please? Okay, thank you. Okay. States the following. Proxy for 2021 annual meeting. The undersigned member of the Sutphin Boulevard District Management Association Incorporated, also known as the association, hereby constitutes and appoints Alex Duraso Jr. with full power of substitution and revocation as attorney and proxy for the undersigned to attend the 2021 annual meeting of the members of the association to be held via Zoom meeting on December 20th of 2021 at 5 p.m. or any continuation or adjournment thereof, with full power to vote and act for in the name, place, instead of the undersigned, with the same manner, in the same manner, to the same extent, and with the same effect, if the undersigned were personally present thereat in connection with the following. Number 1, election of directors. Number 2, such other matters as may properly come before the 2021 annual meeting of members. The undersigned hereby revokes any proxies heretofore given by the undersigned. This proxy can be revoked at any time prior to it being voted at the annual meeting with written notice to the legal entity. And finally, okay, you may attend the annual meeting and revoke your proxy or not grant a proxy and cast your own vote at the annual meeting. If the proxy is not revoked, the vote shall be in the discretion of the attorneys and proxies that were, okay. And I'm sorry, okay, in the discretion of the attorneys and the proxies. Now, with respect to the individuals who have given their proxy votes, the first person, it's dated December 20th of 2021. The signature of the person is Charlene Joseph, spelled Charlene, Joseph, Joseph. And the entity that she's associated with is BRP Companies. The second person who also submitted a proxy vote or the authority to vote on behalf of that individual. The form is dated December 16 of 2021. The signature of the person is reflected as Alex Sakakov, spelled Sakachakov, who is also currently a member of the board of directors. And he wrote down the name of the business that he's involved with, but it's, what is it, Apex? Glenn, do you know the name of the?
It's actually the Urgent Care Center, but Apex is the name of it, but Urgent Care Center is what's written outside.
Sure. And the location is 9016 Sutphin Boulevard, Jamaica, Queens, New York, 11435. And finally, the third person who also gave a proxy or the authority to vote by proxy is a form that is dated December 17 of 2021. The name of the person is Dominic Catalano, spelled Dominic, Domenick, Catalano, Catalano. And the business that he's associated with is located at 8774 Sutphin Boulevard, Jamaica, Queens, New York, 11435. Are there any questions from any member who is present tonight with respect to those three proxies that were given by those respective members to myself, Alex Duraso Jr., who is the chairperson of the Sutphin Boulevard bid? Okay, being that there are no questions, we will now proceed to discuss the issue of, first and foremost, the re-election of the following individuals. One, Robin Eshapour is Eshaghpour. The second person is Carol Radin. Carol is Carol. Radin, Radin. And the third person who's up for re-election is Sami Attala, spelled Sami, Attala, Atallah. Those are the three people that are up for re-election. And then aside from that, there are two other individuals that we're looking to add to the board. I think it's a better approach to first re-elect those individuals, to then put them in a position where they can vote for the other two individuals who we're looking to add to the board. Normally, we would do, under normal circumstances, what would happen is everyone would get a sheet of paper, everyone would get a chance to cast their vote. Unfortunately, we're in the middle of a pandemic. We're not doing this in person. We're doing this virtually. So as a result, we're going to use a different approach. The approach that we would vote, we are going to use is something, I guess, similar to what the US government uses, which is a voice vote. Okay, so what we're going to do is the following. The first and foremost, we're going to bring up the name of Robin Eshapour, and I'm going to take a voice vote with respect to everyone to find out whether the person is in support of or whether the person is not in support of the re-election of Mr. Eshapour. Are there any questions so far from the members of the board? And being that there are no questions, I will then proceed to ask the members of the board to consider Mr. Robin Eshapour. Okay. The first person, I guess, Ms. Riddick. Okay, are you present, Ms. Riddick?
I'm present.
Yes, okay. With respect to Mr. Eshapour, what is your vote? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. The next person is going to be John Perricone. Mr. Perricone, are you present?
Yes.
Okay, what is your vote with respect to the re-election of Mr. Eshapour? Yes or no?
Vote yes.
Okay. The next person is going to be, okay, hold on. I think this might be, I think it might be easier if I work jointly with the executive officer so that he can assist me in calling out the names of the individuals, and then we'll ask him with respect to what he or her vote.
Oh,
Okay, so far I've called out two names. Help me out here, Glenn, with respect to the other members.
Sure. We have Carol that's on the line.
Yes,
Okay, Carol, okay. With respect to the re-election of Robin Eshapour, what is your vote? Yes or no?
yes.
Okay. Who's the next person, Glenn?
Sammy, you need to unmute. Sammy? Okay, let's *6, Sammy, if you're on your phone. I think you're on your phone.
Hello.
Yes, there he is.
Okay, Sammy, with respect to the re-election of Mr. Robin Eshapour, okay, what is your vote? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next person.
Henry Yam, the representative from Councilman Gennaro's office.
Hey, sorry, this is Zach here. Robin is a property owner, yeah?
Yes.
So only property owners can vote Robin in. So John, Miss Reddick, Henry, and myself do not have standing
Oh.
to vote for Robin.
Okay,
Oh, okay, got it.
okay. So,
Okay, so based on your proxies,
yes,
three-
and, okay, so now with respect to the three proxies from the property owners, I will then
Charlene,
proceed. Yes.
yeah,
I will-
Charlene is the only property owner that you've got a proxy for, and
Okay.
Right.
And since I have a proxy for Charlene and I choose to exercise it in the following manner, with respect to Mr. Robin Eshapor, my vote is yes on behalf of Charlene Joseph.
Okay.
So, okay, so we have everybody, the other people, Alex is not a property owner, correct?
correct.
And neither is Dominic. I
So
thought Dominic was,
Dominic
he is a property. Yeah, he's a
Dominic is
property.
the property owner, correct.
Exactly. Okay, now, with respect to Mr. Dominic Catalano, who's a member of the board, who has given me a proxy to vote on his behalf. With respect to the reelection of Mr. Robin Eshapor, I vote yes. So now, okay, it appears that everyone who's in a position to vote as a property owner has voted. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Mr. Greenwich?
That is
Yes.
correct.
Okay, and all of the property owners, I think it total 6 or 7.
7.
7, okay. So 7 property owners have voted yes to reelect Mr. Robin Eshapor. And no one voted no to reelect Mr. Robin Eshapor. I'm sorry, hello? I'm sorry, somebody was saying something. Hello?
That's Sammy. I'm gonna mute
Okay.
you, Sammy. I'll let,
Okay, okay,
Well-
Sammy. Okay, so in light of the fact that no one has voted no and everyone has voted yes, Mr. Robin Eshapor has been reelected as a member of the board for a new 2-year term. Okay, okay, the next, okay, Sammy, okay, all right,
I muted him. Go ahead.
okay, all right, okay, not a problem. Okay, the next person that we're gonna consider is also a current member of the board who's up for reelection. Okay, someone who has boundless energy, someone who's a good friend of ours. Okay, Miss
He's very
Carol.
outspoken.
Yes, very outspoken. And that's what we like about you, Carol. Okay, and so Miss Carol Radin, Radin. So she's currently up for reelection. So we're going to have the same process. Now, the individuals who are, according to Mr. Owens, the individuals or only property owners can vote for these property owners. So Glenn, the floor is yours by calling out the names, and we will find out what their votes are.
Sammy, *6. Sammy, are you there? *6, please.
Sammy. Sammy, can you hear us? Okay, well, okay. So let's move on to the next person. We'll come back to.
Well, the other 2 people are the Charlene and
Okay,
Dominic,
Sean. Okay.
which you
Sean.
have the proxy.
Sure. Okay. So in the meantime, as I'm doing that, please try to reach Mr. Atala. Now, with respect to the proxy vote that I was given by, I'm sorry, with respect to the proxy that was given by Charlene Joseph, who's a member of the Sutphin Boulevard Board, I vote yes with respect to the reelection of Carol Radin to the board, to the Sutphin Boulevard Board. With respect to the proxy that I was given by Mr. Dominic Catalano. I also vote yes on behalf of Mr. Catalano for the reelection of Carol Radin to the Sutphin Boulevard Board. Have you been able, Mr. Greenwich, have you been able to reach Mr. Sammy Atala?
Let me give him a call. Sammy, are you there? You need to star six. Star six, Sammy.
It appears that an issue has developed.
Now, can you hear me?
Yes,
Oh,
we can hear you now.
Oh, we can hear you.
Okay.
And please do not mute yourself after that, because after that is going to be your consideration to be reelected as
Okay.
a member of
Give me,
the board.
give me a few minutes. Let me finish
Okay.
the transaction.
Okay, all right, okay, not a problem.
So one of the, as we're waiting, one of the unique things about this particular district is that we have a lot of small business owners and property owners who are part of the bid and are not always available to come to board meetings and or of course as the annual meeting. They're still in the process of handling their business.
The slate that you had up earlier, everyone is a property owner on that slate, right?
That's correct.
No, isn't it?
Do just to
business
it's just
owners?
the,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I think there are a couple business owners also, not property owners.
No,
That you're
they're all property owners.
Oh, property owners, right, okay.
Mr. Adib Sadiq
Mhm.
owns
if we
90, was it 9025? He owns the AT&T
Right.
building. And Paul owns the parking lot next to
Right.
the 9016, sorry, next to the urgent care center. So these are all property owners.
Right.
So if we wanted to do this expeditiously, and since it's not a competitive election, I'd propose we just elect the remaining outstanding property owners as a slate. And that we take a roll call from the property owners on the call and just do the remaining 3 folks together, if no one
Okay.
objects.
No objection from us.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. Yes, it's a
Great.
very good idea. So, okay, Sammy,
Yeah, I'll be right there.
okay. I was about to tell him, just say yes. Okay, so do we have enough votes for the reelection of Carol Radin?
Yes.
Okay, so since we have
Yeah.
enough vote. Okay, Sammy,
Yes.
okay, now we have to consider the reelection of Carol Radin. Okay, what is your vote? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, yes. So being that all the property owners have voted to reelect Carol Radin to the board of the Sutphin Boulevard bid, Ms. Radin has now been reelected to the board. We look forward to working with you in the future, Ms. Radin. Okay, now, okay, we're gonna consider the next 3. Zach, I have a question for you. Are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, the only difference is that the reason I was trying to separate them is that 3 were up for reelection and 2 were going to members. Does it make a difference?
I know Sammy's unmuted, I think, but it doesn't make a difference. The members are
Okay.
voting, not the board of directors, so we're good.
Not a problem. Okay, so now the last group that we're asking you to consider are Sammy Atala, Adib Saidi, and Paul Topoulos. Okay. Carol,
Yes,
okay, what is your vote with respect to those three individuals? Yes or no? To have them become members of the board or to be reelected as members of the board?
yes, I elect them members of the board.
Thank you. Okay, okay,
Somebody's phone or something is on
That's
there.
Okay.
that's Sammy.
Is-
Sammy, are you there?
okay, before you cut him off, ask him to please consider voting for the other two individuals.
Sammy,
Okay.
is it? Sammy, can you hear me? Sammy?
Yeah, 1 second. He's in the bathroom, please.
Okay, all right, okay, not a problem. So what we'll do now is I'll just read into the record the concerning the proxy that I've received from Charlene Joseph. And based upon the proxy that I've received from Charlene Joseph, who's a board member, I vote yes for all three of those candidates, for Sammy Atala, Adib Sadi, and Paul Agnos Topoulos. And
Hello, I'm
yes,
here.
Sammy, we're asking you to consider the following two individuals, Adib Sadi and Paul Agnos Topoulos. Is your answer yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sammy also
welcome.
has to vote for himself.
Oh, you can vote for yourself, Sammy? Okay,
You have
Sammy,
the proxy. You can vote for me.
oh, okay. I
You
do.
can vote for me because I'm gonna start the packing to leave.
Okay, all right. Have a good night.
You
Okay,
too. Merry
and-
Christmas and Happy New Year to all of you. Happy holidays.
likewise. Okay,
Okay.
and
I'm gonna leave you guys.
okay, and Glenn, before he leaves, okay, he left. I was gonna ask him to
No,
vote
I'm
for
here. I'm
himself.
still here.
Okay, Sammy, okay, we want you to consider of casting a vote for yourself. You can do that before you leave. Yes or no?
Okay, yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so
All right.
as it stands now, all the members whose names appeared, Robin Asher Paul, Carol Radden, Sammy Atala, Adib Saidi, and Paul Agnesopoulos have now been either re-elected or added to the board of directors of the Sutphin Boulevard bid. Are there any questions with respect to that issue that we just addressed? Okay, there are no questions, so now we're moving on to the next issue. Are we all set?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
now, okay. We're moving on to, so now we had the election results. So the next order of business is going to be the question and answer session and any comments and so on. Okay, before we start, I just want to take the opportunity to bring the members of the Sutphin Boulevard up to speed with respect to what's been happening in the last couple of weeks, okay? For those of you who are not aware, one of the big issues that has come up recently is the issue of the consolidation. Is the consolidation of our bid, the proposed consolidation of our bid with Jamaica Center bid and also the 165th Street bid. As a result, there have been a number of meetings that were held, namely 3 meetings. One, we had a meeting with Councilman Miller. On 2, we had a meeting of the Economic Development for Community Board 12. And we also had a meeting with the General Board meeting for Community 12, where a vote was ultimately taken by the board. During the course of those, especially the 2 meetings, the one with the Economic Development for Community Board 12 and the General Board meeting for Community Board 12, a number of individuals made presentations in favor of consolidation, and some people spoke and they were also not in favor of consolidation. Some of the speakers who spoke were Councilman Miller, Sharon Anderson from the Borough President's Office spoke. I had an opportunity to speak as well, and some board members of the Greater Jamaica also spoke and so on. Essentially, it's the following from what I was able to recall from what we have, and other people are present. Zach Cohen is present and some of the other people, if they wish to fill in some more. It's essentially the from what I was able to view is that with respect to the issue of consolidation, and the concern is that they want to re-energize the area of South Jamaica. The position is that years and years ago, South Jamaica in the 40s and in the 50s and in the 60s and up until the 70s, it was an area where businesses were thriving. It was an area where people would come from great distances to come here and to shop. They would come here, they would shop, they would buy things, and there would be can you just give me 1 second, please? Hold on a second. Hold on. Okay, because I have to turn off something over here. I am sorry. I'm sorry for this because I was having some problems hearing in the background. The place that I'm at, somebody decided that they were going to try to vacuum, and it was making it difficult for me to hear. So, it was the wife, but that's okay. Okay. But in any event, but as I was saying, I'm sorry, can you hold on? I'm going to activate the camera. Okay. And yeah, and also the feeling was that the bids as they now stand as separate bids, that there was a feeling that if we do consolidate the bids, that we would be able to accomplish more if we consolidate the bids. Number one is we would be able to speak in one voice, number one. And the feeling was that it would make it a lot easier for us to bring back businesses in the community and to do things that would be able to improve the community. It was also brought to the attention of the people who were speaking that night that when the issue was first raised, somewhere around 2015 and 2016, that a vote was taken by the respective boards. When the Sutphin Boulevard bid took a vote, the board at the time was in favor of consolidation. Even though now in my conversations with the members of the board, many members of the boards, the property owners and so on, they are no longer in favor of the board. But unfortunately, since the vote was taken, we're not in a position to take a different position unless we rescind the vote that was taken earlier back in 2016. Some of the questions, there were a lot of questions that were proposed during the course of the presentations. And some of the speakers spoke and they talked about the fact that in comparison to other bids, and there've been instances where those bids have been consolidated and that they've been able to accomplish a lot more as a result of those bids having been consolidated. But I myself, as I stated to you earlier, I was expressing on the view of the members of our board, and I asked a number of questions. One of the concerns that we have, and obviously, and I just want to point out that they're going to have, I believe it's January 19th, they're going to have a hearing, a city council hearing, to make a determination as to whether or not this is something that will be adopted. And I also want to point out, before I go into any more specifics, that at the third meeting that we had, which is the meeting of the general board meeting for Community 12, a vote was taken. And the community board voted their vote was not, they were not in favor of the consolidation of the bid. I'm going to give you the reasons, what my positions are, what the position of the members of the board that I've spoken with and what their concerns are and so on. And one of the issues that they were talking about is revitalizing the community. And there is this view that if we do consolidate, that we're going to be able to bring more businesses. People are going to be able to come here to shop, as opposed to going, for example, to the malls and so on. I asked a question about what exactly is the plan? What plan do we have in place as to how we're going to do this? Okay. And I have to say that I didn't get a satisfactory answer as to what the plan is going to be. It was basically stated that we're going to, once we do the consolidation, we're going to have what is known as some sort of a committee to find out the best way to do this. The reason I brought up this issue is because I'm having a difficult time accepting the fact that the fact that years ago in the 40s and 50s and 60s, people travel great distances to come here to shop, that we would be able to duplicate that. Because, for example, in the 1970s, one of the reasons why this community is the way it is now is because a lot of people were no longer shopping around here. They were shopping at the malls because the malls were able to offer a lot more than we're able to offer. For example, we don't even have parking for people who want to drive the great distances to come and park around here. Recently, at one of those community board meetings, it was brought to the attention of the people who were attending that as a result of the fact that they had to create those bus lanes for the buses in certain areas of Jamaica Avenue, as a result, they took away parking spaces that normally people who would come to shop would be able to park their cars in. So they didn't have places to park their cars, number one. Number two is not only did we lose businesses to the malls, but the malls themselves are now struggling because of the fact that people are now shopping online. A lot of people, not only are they shopping online for clothes, they are shopping online for food. You have people with Uber Eats and so on and so forth. Not as many people are going to restaurants and all of those places. So that's why I asked the question, how do we intend to bring back the businesses by consolidating the bids as they were suggesting? Because I find it hard to believe that we're going to be able to do that. That was one of the concerns that we had, okay, which I didn't think was properly addressed. The other concern that we had is the fact that our position is that we feel that the owners, the property owners of the bid should be polled to see what their position happens to be as to whether or not they're in favor of consolidation or whether or not they're not in favor of consolidation, in light of the fact that the assessment value of their properties is going to be increased. It's essentially a tax increase on their properties. And right now we're basically doing the frontage. And my understanding is the assessment formula is going to change to also add, for example, the value of the property as something that's going to be taken into account. So it's hard for me to understand, since we have what is known as a due process clause here under the United States Constitution, that you cannot either take property from someone without due process or increase the taxes that someone is required to pay when they are a property owner without giving them due process. And the way they're going about doing this, and by the way, this is an editorial on the part of the board, by the way. So, and the way they are going about doing this, I basically indicated that this is yes, there's something that says the true assessment's value would not increase. Not true. That's not true. Okay, because if, for example, you have a business that was only paying frontage, and if you're in addition to the frontage, now you're adding the value aside from the frontage, how can you then argue that that's not going to increase?
Alex,
Okay.
you don't know how the assessments are
Okay,
calculated to be frank. So I'm happy to have a one-off
Okay.
conversation with you and show you the
Not a
numbers
problem.
and how this all works. But
Okay,
the agenda was questions and answers. And I've been
Okay,
on this
yeah.
meeting for an hour and a half now. So
Okay.
can we get on to the Q&A,
No,
please?
okay, one more, I just want to make one more point, okay? And we're not going to take, because I want to bring out to the attention that I want them to consider whether or not we're going to take a vote, not today, at a later date, before the January 19th hearing, whether or not we're going to take a vote to rescind the vote that was taken earlier. Because the third concern that we have, and which is the most important concern, is that we don't know for certain whether our issues are going to continue to be addressed for the following reason. Okay, it's been brought to my attention that some of the individuals that belong to the Jamaica Center board, the bid, as well as the 165th Street bid, also belong to those two bids. And the concern that we have is that if we have a consolidation, what guarantee do we have that our needs are not going to now become secondary to the needs of individuals who have previously belonged to the other two boards? Okay, that's the last, I understand, Zach, I understand that you feel that, this is not something that should be properly discussed, but I think we should discuss it. But in any event, I just want before, okay, I would like to know if some of the members of the bid would like us to take a vote before the hearing on the 19th to consider rescinding the vote that was taken back in 2016. The vote that was taken in 2016 by the bid. Okay, is there a motion on the floor for that?
Just to add here, Alex, there's a difference between a meeting of the members and a meeting of the board. We are currently in a meeting of the members. It is the board of directors that has to take action and to weigh in and to vote. So if the board wants to have a follow-up meeting prior to January 18th to formally rescind their vote, they're more than welcome to do so.
Okay.
And by the way, we've tried to make several phone calls and emails to you, which have gone completely unreturned because I could have corrected a lot of this information that you're now presenting. And I would
Okay.
also share that the board has 60 days prior to city council that they are formally asked to weigh in and to provide an updated vote.
Okay.
And after of which every property owner will be polled and have an opportunity to object to the formation of the bid. This is the information that I've been trying to get on
Okay,
your
but
radar,
that will be
Alex.
done.
And
but that
I
will be
corrected,
done.
in your letter, the commissioner sent it back to you and corrected this misinformation. So at this point, we're an hour and a half beyond this meeting. I think we should get into the questions and
Okay.
answers, and then we
May
should
I
adjourn
ask you a
and
question,
revisit this.
Zach? May I ask you a question? So what you're
Please.
saying is that after, let's say, assuming that there is a consolidation of the bids. So after the consolidation, after it's a done deal, so now you're saying that the owners have an opportunity to raise an objection.
No,
So the
that's not
objection is,
correct.
okay, so can you clarify that for us then?
So on January 18th, there's going to be a city plan commission hearing where this will be heard by the commissioners. The city plan commission will have an opportunity to weigh in, after which it will go to city council. City council will have to hold a public hearing. The notice of the public hearing is going to be sent to every property owner, and there's going to be a printed notice in a paper of record for Queens. And then after that, there's a 30-day time period between the hearing and when the city council may vote. In that 30 days, every property owner and business owner is going to receive an additional mailing to allow them to object to the formation. And they will object directly to the city clerk. Those will be shared with SBS. And then after the 30 days, we will go back to city council and we will share how many objections there were. If the objections are 51% of the total owners or 51% of the total assessed value of the district, then the district cannot be formed.
And so that's going to be done. So they cannot take a vote until after the 30 days have elapsed, correct? So that would be
That's
30
that's
days from
correct.
January 19th.
No, it would be 30 days from the city council hearing. So we will share that with the board and the members of when that city council hearing is. We anticipate it'll be in February or March.
So prior to the city council hearing that we're going to have, so the owners should not be concerned about the possibility of consolidation before that.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
And the other piece I would add too, there's also 60 days for the dissolution of bids. So every bid, like the actual board of directors, will have 60 days to provide a resolution to city council, but that's just on the dissolution. Really what the issue that you're talking about, Alex, is the consolidation. So the expansion of Sutphin to include the other two bids.
Okay, all right. Now, and the last point I want to make, if you can, just clarify, it's my understanding that with respect to the issue of, okay. When I'd asked the question about how do we plan on revitalizing the community, I was told that essentially that once the bids are consolidated, so we're gonna basically have a committee, and the committee is going to make certain suggestions on how we should approach revitalizing the community. Is that your understanding as well? I mean, the community, is that your understanding as well?
No, I'm a bit confused myself on that. So I think you might have been crossing signals with some other process that was being alluded to.
Okay, so do they already have a plan, something in plan, a plan as to how the community would be revitalized with bringing back businesses and so on that we've lost?
I think so.
malls?
Right. So that is, I think the point that folks were trying to make on that is that the plan to revitalize the community is completely agnostic as to whether a consolidation happens or doesn't happen. If a consolidation doesn't happen, Alex, we still have to have a plan to revitalize the community, right? If it does happen, we still need a plan to revitalize it. It's completely agnostic of like what the consolidation and what the path forward is. But I will say, I think revitalization will have increased chances of success if we consolidate, because we'll be able to spend more money on programs and services and marketing the district, as opposed to, factionalizing it into different specific corridors and spending 60% of admin on overhead.
Okay, but the concern that some people had to do with the fact of whether or not the concerns of some of the bids would not become secondary to the concerns of the other two bids. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I don't know if that's a question. I disagree with the premise of that question.
Okay. I mean, do you agree that essentially, if we do consolidate, that those two bids are going to have more property owners under the new board of directors than we have?
No, you guys have, that's the thing. Sutphin has more board directors. You guys outnumber the directors on Jamaica and 165 because you're a bid. They're SADs. So they don't even have a council member representative. They don't have a resident representative. And because they have those, they are missing those two representatives. That means they don't have to have as many property owner representatives. Sutphin has more board of directors.
Okay, but they do have independent boards, do they not? And that board, from what we were told, is everybody who's a member of each respective board will have an opportunity, if once we're consolidated, to become a member of the new existing board that would be made of what was once the three separate bids, correct?
Correct. There'll be a single board of directors, and any current director who's interested in volunteer his or her time on the new board will be allowed to do so.
Now, so that means that we're going to be getting people from the Sutphin bid as well as the other two organizations. Whether you want to call them board members or not, members who are in a position to make a decision with respect to the other boards will then come and become part of the new board of directors. Correct?
Yes, Alex.
Okay.
All the
And those
members will
numbers,
be in
yeah.
the same organization and then they will elect the board of directors.
Okay. And is it fair to say that some of those individuals belong to not only the Jamaica Center bid, they also belong to the 165th Street bid? Do they not?
Yeah, and similar with Sutphin, there's property owners in Sutphin that also own property on Jamaica Avenue.
Only one. Only one person, that's Mr. Robin Eggerpool. But the concern that we have is the fact that when we have the new board, is that the property owners that will constitute the new board, the majority of them will be coming from a Jamaica Center bid and 165th bid. And the concern is that the needs that we have on Sutphin Boulevard will not be properly addressed. That's why we're so reluctant to allowing ourselves to become consolidated with the other bids. Okay, and in addition to that, we also have the issue of the pavers, which haven't been addressed, but in any event, do we have any other questions and answers?
We have addressed the pavers.
Okay. Do we have any questions? Any questions from the members of the board? Okay, now, is there a motion on the floor then to adjourn this meeting? Hello?
Yes.
Okay, yes as to a question or yes to adjourn?
Well, one question, when he said that the property owners will be apprised of the decision to consolidate. Did he mean all the property owners or just the ones that are on the board at the present time? But everyone who is in this district will be notified? Is that what he means?
That's correct. Yeah,
Right.
there will be every property owner, whether they serve on the board or not, will be notified, and they will also have the opportunity to object to the formation.
You know, there are some property owners that don't even know that there's a bid on Sutphin Boulevard, let alone what consolidation even means to them. But
Right.
needless to say, no, I just was just aware of that.
Okay.
That's all.
All right, do we have any other questions? Since there are no other questions, is there a motion on the floor to adjourn tonight's meeting?
Yes, I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Second it.
Is there a motion to second that? Ms.
I
Reddick?
second it.
Okay. Is there anyone opposed to adjourning tonight's meeting? No opposition, so the motion passes. The meeting is now adjourned. So happy holidays, everyone. Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy New Year, everyone. Zach, if you want, I mean, you can always call my office. I'll be more than happy because I am in court a lot. That's part of the problem, but you're welcome to call me anytime you want. And I will take the time and I will talk to you. I don't have any problems to talking to you or anybody. It's a lot easier. You can ask Glenn. Believe it or not, it's a lot easier to get a hold of me by phone because I also drive quite a bit from one courthouse to another. So it's a lot easier to call me on the phone and to talk to me. Okay?
Definitely, I'll be sure to reach out this week.
Okay, fair enough then. Okay.